How are you?
Doing well. Real quick, is Rondo available for tonight?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Ivica Zubac actually leads the NBA this year in games played. And I was just wondering, with certain guys getting rest and not playing some games due to minutes load and things of that nature, have you guys given any credence to the thought of giving him a night or two off before the postseason arrives?
Been trying to, but he doesn't want to do it. So we just got to try to find ways around it. Even if one game we started for 2 or 3 minutes and then take him out and not play him anymore. But he has his Iron Man thing going on, and it's an honor and a privilege to play in the NBA, and he understands that. He wants to play every game, and he said the only way he doesn't play is if I sit him. So we've been talking to him about it. He doesn't want to do it, but we're going to find ways to try to get him some rest.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jamie. You can go ahead.
Hey, Coach. It seems like the last time that you saw the Pelicans in that game, that was sort of a turning point for your team, especially on the defensive end. The numbers have just changed so drastically in your favor from then on. What do you think that you guys learned at that time and were able to apply moving forward?
Jamie, I just didn't think we had the right mindset coming into the game. I thought they brought a physicality on the offensive end, and Zion attacked us, from every angle. I thought Steven Adams, he was great on the boards and just bringing the physicality and the presence. I thought it got into us on the offensive end. We weren't able to run our stuff, fluid and frequent as we wanted to. They were pressuring us and got into us, and they brought a physicality, like I said, on both ends of the floor, and we didn't do that. So it's something we addressed after that, like you said. And moving forward, we want to be a physical team. We want to start the game with a physicality and a defensive mindset. And I think that was a wake-up call for us after playing that game here in New Orleans.
Thank you.
Thanks. Go to Law.
Hey, Ty, how you feeling down there?
Good.
So tonight you get a win and the team clinches a playoff spot. And I mean, every team that you've been the head coach of has had goals bigger than simply just the playoffs. So I was just wondering, what's the approach to, this game? Like, how does it differ knowing what's on the line? And if that is something that you get, is that something that you kind of celebrate, or do you move on from it just because of the loftier goals in mind?
I didn't even know that, Law, until you just said it. But, like I said, this team is doing something bigger, and it is, like I said, it is a big accomplishment to make the playoffs in this league. And we understand that, but like I said, we have bigger goals in mind. And, if we were able to win tonight, it's a huge step forward. But, we got some things that we still got to continue to get better at. We have to get healthy, have to get guys on the floor. It is a big accomplishment, and our guys understand that. But like I said, we want to play with something bigger.
Thanks. Go to Tomer.
Hey, Ty, first off, just to follow up on Justin's question, what comes first, do you think? A zoo three-pointer or a zoo rest day?
Probably a zoo three-pointer. Because like I said, he wants to play, man, and he's competitive. And he said when he first came in the league, he had games where he didn't play and he sat out, and so he just knows it's an honor and a privilege to play in the NBA. And he understands that, and he wants to get out there and compete every single night, and that's good to have.
And as loaded as the schedule has been, you guys had these past 2 days off. You guys have a couple pair of days off coming up. With the playoffs nearing, only 10 or 11 games left. How important are these walkthroughs that you like to go through where you really just, tune up the offense and defense? Would you rather have these be later in the season?
Yeah, I think it's perfect. Especially with, the guys banged up a little bit, with all the injuries we have and guys being out. I think to have, a couple of days, I think we got 2 days, 3 more times before the season's over. And that's big for us to have walkthroughs, defensively, offensively, work on execution without killing our guys and, those guys using their legs. So I think it's very important to us this late in the season.
Thanks. Thanks. Go to Miriam.
Sorry about that. Hey, so you guys officially welcomed DeMarcus aboard for the rest of the season this year. You kind of talk about Zubac and how much he cherishes the opportunity to play. It seems like DeMarcus really is cherishing this opportunity with you guys. What have you seen on that front?
He's been great. Just going to the gym every day, even on off days. Working with Kenny and Roy and those guys are just trying to get better, get his body in shape. Trying to learn the plays and understanding what we're trying to do on both sides of the basketball. So he's been phenomenal in that regard. As far as stepping in, playing, and not really knowing any plays and what we're trying to do defensively, he's been a huge help for us. Being be able to post the basketball with that second unit. He's a great passer out of the post. Great hands around the basket, getting to the free throw line, offensive rebounds, taking charges. And so, for a guy to come in to a situation where he doesn't really know anything about what we're trying to do and still be able to produce, he's been very, very big for us this year.
And I know you and a lot of people recognize that he was, has a reputation as a great teammate. But has any of that kind of gone beyond what you expected?
I've known DeMarcus, for a while because he trains in Vegas. But so a lot of the other guys who didn't know him, they didn't know that he was, this nice guy and a great teammate. They just kind of see him on the court and being demonstrative and stuff like that. But he's a great person, and guys, on the team, they love him. And like I said, I'm happy that we was able to acquire him, and this is a new chapter for him. A new situation, something different for him. But I'm excited that we were able to get him, and hopefully we can build from here.
Thanks, Miriam. We'll go over to Cam.
Hey, good afternoon, Coach. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm well. Coach, you started off this season mentioning adaptability would be a key word that you used. And over the past couple of weeks, Coach, it kind of morphed into not just that you changed it, but it's the team talked a lot about the culture of what you guys have developed. Seemed to be a key word. Moving into this last part of the season and in preparation for the playoffs, could you give us a key word that you share with your players today?
Outside of adapting, I would say preparation. I think just being prepared. I think preparing your body, preparing your mind, having a mindset of what it's going to be like going forward. And so if I had to say anything, it would be preparation. Our coaches and everybody being on the same page, understanding what we're trying to do on both sides of the basketball. Our team willing to know it's going to be some long days and some days that they don't want to practice and go over the what we're trying to do from a mental standpoint. You got to be ready to do that. And I think just preparing your body, getting healthy, getting your rest, getting your treatment, and understanding what you need to do going forward.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks. Go to Mason.
Hey, Coach. I have a Zoo question too. His foul rate has gone down slightly every year that he's been with the team, but there's still nights like Friday against Houston where he gets in foul trouble early and he has to sit a little bit. How have you seen him improve in that aspect, and how can he still get better at not fouling too frequently?
Well, sometimes it starts at the point of attack. Our guards got to be better on the basketball, so Zoo have to come over all the time and try to block shots. But sometimes he's dealing with stretch fives, guys who pick and pop, and it's put him in some some situations that big men are not used to. But I thought Zoo's done a great job this year, but understanding when we want to veer, when we have to get back to the shooter. Like I said, he's been doing a good job. Other night in Houston, he got a couple, bad fouls, caught a couple of bad breaks. But, for the most part, overall, he's been doing a good job of staying out of foul trouble.
Is that one way he can rest, is if he's in foul trouble?
Yeah, it's crazy when he got his second foul, he got his fourth foul. I said, good, now you can sit down for a little bit. So he was mad about that, but it was good to get him some rest, though.
Thanks, and apologies in advance if I messed your name up. Hugh Hopkins.
Yeah, nailed it. Thank you. Hugh Hopkins from Sky Sports here in the UK. Thanks for taking the time to chat to us today, Coach. There's been some turnover between this year's team and last year's team, as well as the coaching staff, obviously. The team is only taking one extra three per game compared to last season, but you've been a lot more successful from distance. Do you think that's simply down to personnel, or did you come into the season with a plan to create better looks from three, especially because it seems like all the best teams this year are efficient from distance?
We wanted to create better shots, and I think our coaching staff has done a great job of just working on drive, kick, swings, every day, working on our spacing every single day. And PG and Kawhi have done a great job of just, understanding when they can get their own shot and score the basketball, but also getting into the paint and creating for their teammates. And with those guys causing so much attention, on the floor, you're going to get open looks if you make the right play. And like I said, I give all the credit, a lot of credit to PG and Kawhi for just making the right play of getting into the paint and making their teammates better. So we are getting a lot of wide open shots, and that's helped also with our field goal percentage as well from three.
And has any player in particular really jumped out at you from distance that you've been impressed with this year?
Terrence Mann, Shawn Fine, our player development guy, has really done a great job of improving his shot. And Terrence has a lot of confidence in his three-point shot right now. even in a few games this year down the stretch of making some big threes at timely moments in the game. So I'm very impressed of how he's been shooting the basketball this year.
That's great. Thanks, Coach.
Thanks. We got time for one more. Andrew, you can go ahead.
Hey, good afternoon, Ty. You mentioned when Jamie asked you about this last matchup with the Pelicans and how sort of it was a mindset thing you felt like had to switch. But structurally, also Zoo moves into the starting lineup with Serge and Marcus too. What are those two guys over the last, 5 weeks or so? What are the dude could sort of unlock those guys and raise the ceiling of the rest of the team too, having those guys move into the starting lineup?
Well, I think, like you said, Zoo brings a physicality, at the center position, just, being 7 foot and having a big body, being a big body on the inside and a presence on the defensive end. Marcus as well, he's a physical player. He brings a physicality to that starting lineup. And I think offensively, Marcus, shooting almost 50% from three, all season has really done a good job of spacing the floor. But he's also given us a post threat too as well as Kawhi, in that first unit. We can slow the game down, post Marcus, and also space him as well. So we can take advantage of teams when they're doing a lot of switching, and Marcus can post those guys. But Zoo also just rim rolling, getting to the front of the rim, getting to the basket. If he doesn't have it, getting to a spot in the dunker, and letting Kawhi and PG and our players have open spacing on the floor. So Zoo's done a great job with that. And, our players know where he's going to be on the floor, which has made it easier for us. And it's also, we have more rim attacks because of that. Zoo dunking the basketball, and we're getting to the free throw line a little bit more too as well.